I don't know who needs to hear this, but you are enough. Whatever it is that you use to define yourself, it might be husband, wife, father, mother, parent, child, student, employee, employer, whatever it is, I want you to know that you are enough. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. And regardless of where you find yourself, today I am reminded of the words that Mordecai spoke to his niece, Esther. He told her that she was born for such a time as this. And you may be sitting there thinking that your time hasn't come, or you may be thinking that your time has passed. And if you're thinking that, then I would remind you of Josiah. He was 8 years old when he ascended to the throne and became the godliest king of the divided kingdom. At the other end of the spectrum, you may be 80 years old. And I would remind you that that is how old Moses was when he walked into Pharaoh's palace and directed him to let my people go. He was 120 years old before he passed the chain of command on to Joshua. And then there are those like me who are stuck in the peanut butter. We're somewhere in between. And to those of you, I would remind you that Jesus was in the middle years of life when he began his earthly ministry. Every one of his apostles that he called to carry on the torch and to share the news of a risen Lord and Savior, they were in the middle years of their lives when they were called. And so wherever you are, I want you to know that you are enough. And that, yes, you are here for such a time as this. And so I would challenge all of us today to think about where we are, think about our situation, think about those whom you have influence over, and to ask what my purpose and what my time is today, regardless of where you are. It might be that you are sitting behind a school desk or a desk at your workplace. It might be that you are sitting on your porch swing. Those are just some simple examples, and life is oftentimes much more complicated than that. But wherever we are in terms of age, wherever we are in terms of place, God has a purpose. We don't use the word calling very often in churches of Christ, but I'm comfortable with that. And so your purpose, your calling, whatever you want to call it, you are here for such a time as this. And so I want to challenge you to figure out what that purpose is. And then get comfortable with that truth, that God has a plan, a purpose for your life. And I would challenge you to get comfortable with that. Now, there's a lot about our society right now that keeps us from being comfortable. I understand that. In fact, there's a lot about our society right now that lends itself to causing us to fear. But whether it's that school desk, whether it's that work desk, whether it is the uncomfortable chair on the back porch where you talk with people and encourage people, learn to get comfortable with that. How can I do that? By realizing that you are enough. And that school desk, that chair, whatever, I guarantee you it's more comfortable than some of the places where Paul found himself. And Paul was able to say, I have learned to be content regardless of my circumstances. This is the same Paul who was bitten by a poisonous snake, who had been shipwrecked, who had been beaten, who spent a disproportionate amount of his time in dark, cold, damp dungeons. But Paul understood that he had been called by the Lord. He understood his purpose. And he understood that this was his time, and he had an impact to make. This is our time. God has given us a purpose. Let us sit comfortably in whatever it is that He has called us to do. Let us fulfill that purpose with confidence. Because today I want to remind you that you are enough. I've got nothing but big love for all of y'all. Have a great day.